Hello, Vicky. Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for Joanne. Oh, here you are, Joanne.
Hi.
Oh, that was a great blast of technology. Welcome, everybody, to Natural Products Meets. It's been a little while, so forgive me if I'm a little bit, getting into the groove of it again. But I'm delighted this is another webinar with three amazing retailers here today. So we're hosting this on behalf of the National Association of Health Stores, and three of these retailers, Vicky, Julie and Joanne, are all members of the National Association of Health Stores who are celebrating their 90th anniversary. Didn't know they were that old. You don't look it. So listen, we've got some great news at the end of this webinar, so please stay with us. We're just going to go over to the retailers. Now, forgive Vicky's screen, we're having a little bit of a problem on her laptop there, so she's not got soft focus on, it's a little bit of a glitch, but if I can just let the retailers today introduce themselves, and then we'll push on with the wonderful success stories I've been having and sharing with everybody, how we're going to get through and what we're dealing with in this kind of new kind of post-pandemic period. So Vicky, can I go over to you and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hello, I'm one of the directors of Beanfreaks. We're a small chain of health stores based in South Wales. We have 3 stores. I've been in the business for over 30 years now, and I'm GoodwIn trained in Nutritionist, but I've also got a master's degree from Exeter University in complementary health studies. So I kind of run all the training in stores and look to the direction the shop is going to be taking.
Oh, wonderful. Julie?
Yeah, my name's Julie GoodwIn. I've got 2 health food shops, one in Hertford and one in Welwyn Garden City. We've got, basically I've been up and running for 25 years now in Hertford, so I don't know where that time's gone. But yeah, throughout the pandemic it's been a bit of a challenge, but it's all hopefully positive for the future.
Oh, lovely. That's good. Jo?
Hi there. Hi, I'm Joanne. I have 2 health stores, one in Cheshire that's been open about 8 years, and then one in the city centre of Manchester, which opened 3 months before the pandemic. So certainly experienced the challenges alongside that. So it's going to be interesting to talk today about the kind of different things that we had to do as a result of that. Our stores are probably not traditional health stores in that we focus a lot on the organic beauty side of things. We're probably around about 50% supplements, vitamins, minerals, and I'm a registered nutritionist, so that kind of follows where our passion is for that, and we do treatments as well.
Okay, Julie, what's the mix of your stores for everybody listening?
Yeah, so basically we're around about 60% food, 20% body care and 20% VMS. But one of our up and coming things is crystals. We sell so many crystals at the moment. So I would say that's sort of eking into the body care side now.
All right, we'll come on to that later then, Julie. That'll be fascinating. I wish we'd all got one today. Anyway, Vicky, what's the bit of your store?
I kind of say, as I'm trying to check that my maths is correct here, I'd say 15% body care. That's an area that I've been looking at different ways of kind of enhancing that. I'll talk a little bit about that later. 40% supplements. We've always been core supplement store, but the supplements we sell have completely changed over the last few years. And I'd say 45% food. That will vary a little bit. That's my central store. Probably Roath and Canton, a little bit more food, a little less body care. But yeah, a good mixture, which is the main thing. So
yeah, okay, thank you. So look, we've got this big question, right? And it is a big question, isn't it? And we're interested because we've done a retailer session before about in the pandemic and how retailers were reacting. So what we're curious to know now is, now that you've gone through kind of hopefully the worst of the pandemic and the lockdown, what I'm intrigued to find out is how you think that changed your business, changed you perhaps in the way you're dealing with business, and what you'll continue with to drive footfall and engage with customers, and what what the revelations have been, if any. I mean, I'm sure there has been. So look, let's just talk about, you know, your business and what you're doing and what customers are reacting to now, because I think it is a big subject, and we'll delve down into specifics as we're listening. And obviously we're going to take some Q&A from everybody out there, retailers and suppliers. We're going to take some Q&As. I might put them in as we go along if the girls don't mind, but we'll see how things go along. But we've got good stuff coming from the retailers, so forgive us if we don't get to them straight away. Right. So, Vicky, should we start with you and give us a kind of feeling of what you're up to, and share with everybody what we're going to be doing?
The one thing you'll hear about the experiences that we'll share with you today, it's going to be your experience as well, and I'm very conscious of that. Pandemic was a time where we all reassessed what we do, how we did things, how we were actually approaching our customers. Initially last year, you had the whole thing of how do you deal with when you've got such a reactive virus. You've got people being very fearful, you've got staff being very fearful, and this is before they had an iota kind of it coming down, when things were very scary for the public. And I think this is when we started doing kind of direct kind of home delivery services. And I think all of you probably got involved in that. And it's how we had to survive. One of our stores was really frightened of people, so they decided they didn't want customers into the store. So again, you've got the whole idea of how do you kind of interact with a customer that's effectively on your pavement. But we got through it, so we got through the worst. And one of the big things for us as well, it was, we're very, very lucky that we had 2 stores situated more in kind of suburb areas of Cardiff, and we had one in the centre. And the central store was really on a limb. Anyone who's got a store at the moment in any city centre, that we're still struggling. Cardiff's footfall is about 35% down on where it was even 2 years ago. So it is growing, but it's ever so slow. People haven't come back to office working. So you've still got the idea of where do we go, how do we interact now? Having had, like I said, the 2 rural stores, that basically allowed us to have a think about what we wanted to do with Cardiff. If anyone knows me or my stores will know our central Cardiff store we had for 32 years was, I would describe it as a Leviathan. It was such a big store. It was kind of like a mini supermarket, really. And we took that opportunity, thank goodness we were out of lease. We'd been rolling for a little while, but it was a good time to shut that store. And Dad would be quite happy for us to kind of like walk away from city centre life. But I kind of put my hand up and said, oh, I think there's still a place, and we will come out the other side of the pandemic. I'm yet to kind of prove to him that that's going to be the case, because opening the store when we walked straight back into another lockdown and a couple during the course has possibly not been the wisest decision. But we got a footfall. I've literally walked the whole of Cardiff to find a new location that I thought would suit the shop best. And we've gone for a much, much smaller shop that's much more manageable, so that even if things are completely different, we can still kind of maintain our foothold in town.
So Vicky, that was a pretty brave move then, wasn't it, going from a mega store to a, you know, it's all about location, location, location. So what would you say to retailers who, you know, are in a town and you know, how brave have they got to be to maybe think about, you know, if the lease is up, what would you say to them now if the lease is up?
They've got to be really brave, basically. You also have to, I said to Dad, look, I can make a store look really beautiful. You have to do the number crunching. Then having somebody who can do your figures for you, a number crunch to say, this is what you need to achieve, this is what's viable, is that location going to be viable, is really important, because otherwise you can just be walking into another disaster where you've signed in. The other thing is I put break clauses in. I decided we were lucky because we're an established business, that we weren't kind of, I would hate to be a brand new retailer trying to do this, but I know good support and there is support out there. But again, we had to look at, I sacrificed having some free rent-free period to have break clauses. and I've got a break clause at 2.5 years, and I've got a break clause at 5 years, because quite honestly, we don't know what the city centre is going to do. And what you don't want to be, this is the time where you can do some pretty hard negotiation. And this is one thing I did do, and I'm very proud of myself. I kind of said, right, we're a good company, you want us in your arcade, this is what I want to do. And use all of the bargaining power that you have, because like I said, you walk into it financially secure, then like I said, if you haven't got the finances behind you, it's a risky gamble at the moment. And I think, like I said, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to kind of be risky on this one a little bit. But like I said, by taking risk, we looked at a location which was the rents and the rates were much lower, that the affordability, if all of my staff had decided to catch COVID at the same time, as long as I was okay, I could still run the store. So it was all of those kind of questions came to Maya, really.
Yeah. Okay. And what tell me what you've kind of, since you've been through COVID, I mean, how has your business changed in terms of your consumer and what you're offering your consumer? Are they demanding more? Are they changing? Are they, how have you evolved with your existing customers and your new customers?
I think we'll all probably be on the same, certainly the city centre stores. We're not seeing older clients anymore. The age dynamic is much, much younger, and they want totally different things. I think my slightly older clients have gone to home delivery, and they've gone to more online, and they've gone to kind of our kind of more suburb stores. Much younger. What we're also finding is people are, the problem is they've got into internet now as well. So they're kind of very, I can get it for this price. So they're quite price sensitive as well. So you've got to think of ideas that you have for customer retention and why should they come to you. So one of our biggest things is we market our strengths, and our strengths is our advice. And that applies to every single one of your retailers. Amazon and any other companies cannot match the advice that we're able to give in store.
Okay, that's what I want to talk to all three of you about, because I'm interested to see how, with the great respect that people not being able to get to doctors now, how once again the health store angels are supporting the nation's health. So let's go over to Joanne. And Joanne, how have you gone through COVID, and what are you doing that surprised you that you're going to continue, and that's going to footfall and profit for you? There's hope, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, sure. So as I mentioned before, we opened our Manchester store 3 months before the pandemic. So we had a position there where we had a store that hadn't really established, didn't really have a kind of loyal following there. But then we did have our Bramhall, Cheshire store that had been going for a lot longer. So the initial thing that happened is Bramhall stayed open, Manchester closed for a couple of reasons, one of which is Manchester was hit massively through every tier. And also we are mainly in Manchester, we're a vitamin supplement store, beauty store. It was not, we couldn't really say that we were a food store as such. No footfall there whatsoever. So what that did was kind of interesting long term, because that kind of gave me a position where I'd set up these 2 stores, and now was only running one. I did put most of my team on furlough, and we were open slightly shorter hours. We were doing deliveries, but the good thing with that is it did create a bit of time that would never have existed before, and it created a bit of time to look at all those things that I kind of always wanted to do but never quite got on with. I'd signed up in the past, as I'm sure lots of people have, to marketing webinars, training courses, all of these things. So I was getting in from the store earlier than I would have been previously, and I did some learning around that and put a lot of that into practice. Some of it, since we've opened the stores, not quite as much as I might like to, but I'll go back to it. I know it, well, I think I know it now. But the other big thing we did was to completely redo our website. So in about the July of the first lockdown, I kind of made the decision that the old one was on a bespoke platform. We were constantly trying to change it to add things, but it had old products on. It was out of date. It was slow. So by the October, completely relaunched a new website. It's around about 2,000 products on there. It's a lot more SEO friendly. It's still developing all the time because these things are saved quite a lot. Having an e-commerce website is almost a little bit like having another store. Not quite there. It's got the advantage that you've got the stock in the locations. I'm not quite sure how other online stores kind of set up, because we're lucky that the stock is there. But you're still managing products, you're managing price changes, you're putting new banners up. So it's not, it's not a small amount of work, but that's something that we never would have done without the pandemic. And what that gave us is, first of all, it allowed us to be able to serve our existing customers, which was a good way of getting to them. They could shop with us as easily as they could shop with another online player. And it's also actually brought us some new customers, mainly through the function. Similar to Vicky was saying, we absolutely, everything we do, our USP is around our advice. So what we tried to do is arrange, well, there's a little button on the front of the website and you can book a health review. So then you get a time booked in with a registered nutritionist. We can give the kind of advice that we were given in the store, but we're doing that on Zoom. And usually, don't get me wrong, it's usually people who have heard about us already. We're not, we're not going national with this, but we do get some people, but usually it's a referral through somebody else. Right. But we've now got that kind of tool in place that we're no longer waiting for people just to come through the door. If we'd have done that, Manchester would have closed a year ago. But what I see now, which is quite nice, is a lot of the web orders we get are Manchester postcodes. So I kind of think, okay, well, we've got a store there that hopefully people are hearing that we are, and they are showing some degree of loyalty to us. They're ordering from us. So I can kind of say, well, okay, don't get me wrong, the Manchester store has been really, really tough. But at least I can, that it is generating an interest, it's generating some people, and we've got an ability to serve those people even if they're not working in the city.
So what you've done is, from what it sounds to me, when I'm, when I hear it from retailers about Amazon, and and that's the big challenge, is that actually, you can, there is a way of, not, look, Amazon will be Amazon, they're not going away, but it sounds to me what you're doing is you create a community and you're creating quality of advice, just like the store. So you're adding extra value, and then they'll purchase, right? So this is the antidote to Amazon then, right? It's giving good advice, creating a community, and servicing that with bricks and mortar and the web. So I suppose what we'd say out there to any retailers is, if you've set up a website through COVID because you thought it was a necessity, don't give it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't underestimate how much work it takes. A website is a lot of work on it by itself. But yeah, it does bring those people. I think the ongoing challenge is, if you have set up a website, is keeping it maintained, because one of the things we will always see is I can spend 20 minutes with somebody doing a health review. I'll give them some recommendations. They'll order those the first time, but you have to then look at what you're doing after that, because the problem then is they run out, they've never been in store in the first place, they Google that product, well, of course they can find it 20% off. So it's not an easy, it's not, but by getting to know people, by building that relationship, it's definitely another outlet. And certainly for city centre stores, as Vicky was saying, we really have been, hit. The Manchester city centre is still the same, it's about 35% down.
Yeah. And the mix of your products as well, because not having the food element, the necessity is, we would all say beauty is a necessity and VMS, of course, but you still have to engage in a different way. I'm going to come back to you on that, Jo. That's fascinating there, because, obviously it's all depending on the products and the store. As we've said, I call it the the mint polo effect, you know, the hole in the middle where that's the city centre and it's empty and it's all the suburbs around. So I've coined that phrase for everybody. Julie, let's go to you and give an overview, and then there's fascinating analogies between all of you. So tell me how have you come through it, and fascinating that we've talked.
So basically, during the first lockdown, we were selling a lot online, and I was one of those retailers that went onto Amazon, which was, I mean, we were selling so much, but then what happened was basically other people went on and they were discounting and discounting and discounting. It wasn't actually worth doing when you take into account their fees, Amazon fees, postage, products lost, all that sort of thing. So what we've done now is actually come off it just about completely. We do still sell online. We closed the Hertford shop, I think, for about 3 weeks, and then just gradually reopened. Hertford.
Oh, sorry everybody. I think we've lost talking about websites. That's what it was. It broke it. So listen, we'll come back. We'll get Julie in a minute because she's got some fascinating information as well on looking after the actual, you know, pounds and shillings and pence in a budgeting and taking over the management of the account side of things. But Vicky and Joanne, let me talk to you about, because I'm anxious to hear. Obviously, we've all. And Vicky, being in Wales, you've had probably some of the toughest regulations as well. But I'm keen to know what this consumer's like now in post-COVID, with the lack of access to doctors and, you know, with the online consultations. Sorry, Julie, we'll come back to you in a minute. And get yourself sort of settled. But I'm interested. What are these
on my phone?
Oh, okay. Sorry, we'll come back with a question then. Sorry, everybody. We'll be back. Julie, tell me, crack on.
Sorry about this. I do need a bit of technology training, and I can only do this on my phone, and people keep phoning me. So yes, basically we closed the Hertford shop for about 3 weeks. The Welling shop, we just gradually increased the hours. I put most people on furlough, but it was just like, yeah, what do we do next? We are very busy with, normally we have got a lot of therapists who work with us. We've got 10 treatment rooms between the 2 shops. They all disappeared. And the therapists are my main source of income, to be quite honest. Gradually what's happening is they're coming back. So that's good. And that increases the footfall through the shop as well. During lockdown as well, we've started looking at the new website. We're a little bit further behind than Joanne. We're probably going to launch in the spring. But one of the big things I did was teach myself bookkeeping, which was, it's taken about a year, but I've looked at everything, the cost of everything, from the price of toilet rolls to, I don't know, cleaning, staffing, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done. I've actually, although I've got very little sales to what we used to have, I'm actually saving quite a lot of money, you know, and it's actually kept me viable during this time.
Wow, give me some clues. Tell us some clues out there, Julie. What was, you know, what would be something they'd look at that you were shocked about, or, you know, that?
Well, the first thing actually was we were buying toilet rolls from some supplier, 50p a roll, and it's like, how has that happened? You know, I was paying, it's a bit basic, it's all toilet thing, but I was paying for sanitary towel bins in both shops, and it was working out £800 a year between the 2 shops. I was paying for a bookkeeper, several £100s a month. I'm doing that myself now.
Was that the DIY bookkeeping book?
Well, I know, because what happened was I had somebody who worked for me who was an accountant. She just liked working for me on a Sunday, so she used to do it, and she actually taught me how to do it. Oh, cool. And basically, I've managed to get my bookkeeper and ex-accountant really messed up. I had like £10,000 VAT refund. I've had a big tax refund because they messed up so badly. And I've managed to find it, even though I'm not a bookkeeper. It was just like so obvious. I think it's looking with fresh eyes. So I feel a lot more control in business now.
The moral in that story, Julie, if I may interject, is that, look, even though you may not think you're a bookkeeper and you've got experts, or you're servicing out your bookkeeping, then just have a go, right? I mean, we all do our home accounts. I know it's like a bigger thing, but just have a look through and be a bit more challenging about things, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was actually, the problem with me was I was actually scared stiff of accounts and invoices and things like that. And when I started doing it, okay, it's taken a lot of time, but it's actually not that difficult. And I'm doing my own VAT returns now, which I'm very proud of. And it's also, you can see if you do a refund or you're not getting the discounts that. So I was on different discount structures between one shop and the other. It was like a revelation every single day. I had somebody doing my marketing, and although I'm not doing as much as I want to do, I've started doing it myself, and again saving loads of money. It's actually not that difficult. So, and as time goes on, now I know how to do things, because a lot of people make a big mystery out of things. It's, if you go back to basics, it's very rewarding as well.
Yeah, and it's taking control, right? So what's interesting is we've got, if I may just summarise, we're going to go on a little bit more, but we've got Vicky, who's showing that be brave in your locations, and maybe don't give up, but maybe assess where your locations of your stores are, right, Vicky? You'd say that. Joe, investment in your website, which sits along your bricks and mortar to support it and add value. And, come on, none of us can take on Amazon, but you're obviously doing a great job there, Joe. And then from Julie, it's, look at the books, let's negotiate, and let's challenge things. And maybe there's some money to be put on the bottom line there, Julie. I won't ask you exactly how much, but you're looking happy. Tell me about some of the activities that you didn't possibly do before that you've been surprised you're doing or will continue to do, for, reacting to your customers. What do they need at the moment? What are they looking to you to help with? This online consultations is fascinating. Do you charge for them?
So we don't charge for them, actually. I tend to, usually it's myself. We've got 4 nutritional therapists, I think, that are employed to be in the shop. So we do it out of shop hours. Usually it's myself that does them. And more often than not, we do get the orders that come through from them, or people come in the shop to buy the things, and then they think of us as kind of a resource there for going forward, that they'll ask the questions too. So at the moment I don't charge for them, and that that works absolutely fine. I did do I think the other thing that we did to, I guess, kind of reach new customers during lockdown, and again it goes back to the sort of new skills, is we started off doing quite a lot of Instagram lives as well. I think what customers are looking for is information, but I think what they're looking for is credible information. There's huge amounts of, obviously you can read anything you want to now. As we know, people are struggling with their health. People are concerned about their health, whether it's immune system, whether it's anxiety, whether it's mood. And I think what's been positive perhaps over the last, I guess, 3 months or so, not necessarily in the beginning, but since the shops have reopened and reestablished a bit more, I'm seeing more people kind of saying, well, we're coming to you because we want to know what the right take is. I think beginning people were googling anything, watching anything. So I think from a health store point of view, if we can find innovative ways of getting in contact with our customers but really sort of sharing our knowledge, then hopefully that's a good way of serving customers but also bringing new ones in as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Vicky, do you charge for your consultations, or is there a discount if they've got to buy products? Or
no, I offer a free 10-minute consultation. I tend to put a cap on time, only because, invariably it's 20 minutes and I don't mind that. But you don't want to be doing a 2-hour consultation. because somebody will talk at you, and I have a list of questions, and you can really kind of hone it so that you're giving the essence of what they're there for, having a chat about different things, having leaflets on hand as well with meditation techniques and different kind of things that they can do at home. Again, helps you when you're kind of wanting to do it in a quicker period of time, if it's one-to-one, or you can email things to customers if it's Zoom. But it's that kind of thing of having a friendly face, and definitely this was one of the things we looked at. In order to engage them in what you're selling, you have to be kind of directing them and giving them a reason why, and that's what it's about. Discounting is quite an interesting one as well. I've taken all discounts away upstairs, other than promotional activity. It was something I was told to do many years ago. Don't discount. The problem is you're just giving your turnover away, and it's like if you give 10% off of every multivitamin, you're losing £1, £1.50. By the end of the day, that could be 50 quid walking out the door. That could be another person's wage for that day to give you more support. So instead, I came up with this is an old and tried and tested, but we have a little loyalty card.
I love those, Vicky. I love them.
I kind of looked at what the big bookshop, Waterstones, was doing. And it's the idea that every £10 they spend, they get a stamp. If they spend £19.98, they still only get one stamp. You can actively encourage them to spend another 2p or whatever. And you have to be that ruthless, unfortunately. We haven't got the money to give it away, but you're still effectively giving the customer, this turns into a £10 voucher. So they feel win-win. Customers are going to lose them. Also, it's a voucher rather than you giving £10 away. You're kind of giving them £5 away effectively. It's kind of, and they've spent it in your store again. So it's keeping it's watching the pennies. It's like exactly what Julie says. When times are tight, we need to look at every aspect. I'm very lucky. My dad is very good. He does our bookkeeping. He's really good at watching pennies. So, but everything that we do in store has to kind of think longevity. We can't afford to be kind of just giving money away just because somebody's, a pensioner or whatever, But again, the idea of a loyalty card, if anyone said, do you offer student discount? I said, no, but we've got one of these. If you spend this, you get, and they're always happy. So, it's like I said, it's having to think of what works for you, really.
I'm interested, Julie, can I come back to you on that in terms of, because we had a chat and you said about the consumers and customers coming in now, maybe their health queries are becoming a little bit more complicated, a little bit more
definitely
detailed. So how are you coping with that? I mean, look, we've gone from before COVID and now after COVID with no GP.
I mean, if anything, I think the customer queries are more complicated now. There's a lot of health issues. There's a lot of anxiety and all sorts of different symptoms. The thing is, a lot of people, I think, have spent a lot of time Googling their symptoms as well. They come in asking for these random products that I think, who knows where they're from. They're not even but they're asking us for advice. We do have the problem where people will come in, you suggest a product, and they'll actually Google it while you're standing there and see if they can get it cheaper and actually buy, online while you're actually giving advice. But anyway, that's I'll let that one go. But one of the things, but sometimes it's the queries are so complicated that and I realise now that we've got a lot of new staff, a lot of people haven't got the knowledge yet. So I've contacted one of she was absolutely amazing, therapist who's now based in France. She's a naturopath and iridologist, absolutely phenomenal. And she's starting to do online consultations now for us. And she's actively recommending things that they can buy in store with us. She'll do like full consultations, but she's also going to start doing mini consultations for us as well. So it's absolutely amazing to have that knowledge behind us rather than, you know, being run by what Dr. Google says. So
yeah, we all like Dr. Google to a point, but I suppose what I'd like to ask all three of you then is, you know, I mean, we're all in this together, right? You know, we're the trade show and the suppliers and the retailers, and we're all very, you know, moving forward in creating and nurturing the nation's health, especially now. And I think the health stores, you've been doing amazing, as I've said, but where do the suppliers, how does this change? Because they've gone like from, you know, obviously it's been very busy and people have been buying, you know, the traditional products. So you say it's getting more complex, the health issues. So what can suppliers do to support you? Because it sounds like it's changing and what you need from them, you know, in terms of relations. Or is it changing? Maybe not. Joe, what do you think? Sorry, I'll come back to you, Julie, in a minute. Vicky's dashed off. So, Joe, what do you want from your suppliers?
The key thing for me is those online discounts that suppliers give direct. And this comes back to, I mean, Julie just talked a bit about it then. This comes back all the time, that we will be in store, we will get a customer interested in a product, we'll recommend that product. Yes, maybe they'll buy it from us the first time. The next time they can go to the supplier themselves for 20% off. And now some suppliers do come to us, which is great, with offering the same offer. So if they've got something on promotion on their website, they will, it doesn't work out exactly because they give us 20% off cost price or whatever, so it's not quite the same. However, we can then at least try and match that in store. So that, you know, that side of it, when they're doing that and they're honest about it, is okay. But it is the it's the direct to consumer marketing that does cause us a problem. And there's some brands that really, to be honest, we wouldn't recommend in store anymore for that reason. We will always try and recommend the best product for the customer, but there's absolutely no point in doing that if we're going to lose that customer the next time.
But I guess there's support for maybe, you know, they're experts. They've all got experts. I mean, is it that you need them to offer their experts to support? You're all doing great jobs doing consultations, but you know, Vicky and Julie, you know, you've got therapists and yourself, Vicky, doing it. What if, you know, you could get? Do you need more? Is this going to be the epidemic of self-care where, you know, are you going to be inundated that you're actually spending more time giving advice? What is the balance here, girls? I think that's what I'm saying.
I think for ours it's okay because what we've always done. And I quite like the fact that we're not linked to one particular supplier. So a customer comes to talk to us and we know that this from this range, this from this range, and this from this range are the right answer for us. And I kind of feel that that's what makes us unique. I think what is great is suppliers coming in to do tasters, to, you know, introduce to customers that way and supporting us with different ways that we can get the products out there. And, you know, many of them do. I'm not sure that I would probably go down the route of suppliers themselves doing that direct. We do use their technical departments. So if we're not sure, I mean, we're fortunate that we're nutritionists and, you know, a lot of health stores have got expert ready. So.
Okay, I was just wondering on the complication, but Vicky, what were you going to say, hun?
I was going to say, we're really, really lucky in the industry, and every company that we deal with or we choose to deal with has got a technical department. We tend to, when we can, get them to do training. They've been doing a lot of Zoom training. There's some really fabulous quality of training. We've coined a phrase in the shop called science fact, not fiction. I use that a lot with kind of any videos that I'm doing, any poster material that I'm doing. So we're layering that idea that we're supporting the science aspect of it. This is also something I've been looking into different countries and what they do, so where we're going forward. So one of the big countries that I look at is Australia. Because if you look, most of the kind of ideas about the next phase of health is coming from Australia. They've got a very kind of forward-looking naturopathic kind of background. So looking at the marketing there again, most of the big health food stores out there, again, going on this mantra that everything that we sell is supported by the science, everything, we wouldn't give them anything that was unsafe. And that's something, again, what Julie said, Joanne, we have so many customers come in after something really obscure, and you think, and this is the other thing, you find to the media, they don't want to deal with echinacea anymore. They want to have something weird and wonderful just because it's a different herb to be talking about. And again, that's great, but if that's something that's not legal in this country to sell, not proven in this country, and has got very little research data, I'm not going to be recommending that to the customer. And this is something I really kind of hone in with the customers. I have customers that come in store, I have little bits of paper with all my credentials on, and also I kind of put information, and quite often I'll quite happily say, well, these are herbs, and I don't even give dosage, I just say what particular herbs that I like, that I think is appropriate for them, and brands possibly. And I say, go home, have a read, come back to me, and 9 times out of 10 they'll either buy it there and then, or they'll say, oh, I'll go to the coffee shop and have a read back, and they say, yeah, no, that was right. Yeah. Because you've got to be true to yourself. If I don't believe in a product, I won't sell it anyway, so there's no point in me stocking it. Yeah. And I really make it, even when I get reps in, I'll put them through the mill on what's that product, what's the research data about it, let me have a little look at it, let's have a look at how much dosage is in it, is it just saying it's a 1 a day, but actually it's not going to be fit enough, so I'm confident in, before it's even made it to my shelf, I'm confident on that product. And again, I'm not the only retailer that does this. This is normal practice. And I think one of the other things I'm looking at other shops and how they survive is a less is more attitude. Do I need 20 different forms of echinacea on the shelf? Yes, I need a lower price, medium, high price. But all of those should be ones that I really feel proud to be selling. And that's kind of, again, what I adopt within my stores.
Okay, well, look, I'm just going to ask you the same question, then we're going to go to some Q&As quickly, because you've been amazing. But when we're talking about pre-COVID, how are you performing, and are you optimistic about your future? I mean, in terms of your sales and your growth, and post this period now, I mean, how are you doing? Are we all optimistic going forward that the nation's health, they do need you more than ever? I think they do, but are they proving that to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, oh God, sorry.
Go on, Julie, you go. Sorry.
That's all right. A few weeks ago, I wasn't confident at all. I was just thinking, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It was just getting really, really hard. But I've sort of turned a corner, and I'm thinking, well, people are coming back. They are coming in specifically for good advice. They're actually, the customers are reappearing again. The sales aren't what they were before the pandemic. However, we are up on the same time last year, even though we were in lockdown. The therapists are coming back, and also we're getting different ideas, what we can do, create a bit of theatre in the store. Like I was saying about the crystals, we're doing more refills, which I hate with a vengeance, but customers love, and they're just coming in all the time. We're getting more local products, and just trying to work with the community as well. We're actually starting to plan to do some talks as well. We've got the new website coming, so I think things are different, but I think overall it's actually quite, hopefully, be optimistic.
Thumbs up for that then, Julie.
Yeah.
Thumbs up for that, and we'll see you in April. But let me go to Vicky.
Oh, can't wait.
Vicky, how are you performing, if you don't mind us sharing a little bit?
I think my suburban stores, again, Roath and Canton, are doing brilliantly. I've got the most amazing team within those stores, and I'm very proud of how they've interacted. Because of the new location in town, and because town, we're still building, but I'm really confident that we went into quite a severe lockdown, really, where Mr. Gray basically told everyone if they went to work, he was going to fine them. So That was pretty horrendous. We're coming out the other side, and considering how quiet and tumbleweedy it's been, we've done okay. There's still work to be done, and again, same as Julie, I've been invited to do a talk. We've got plans of now how we're really going to kind of build up on ideas. And I had, again, looking at the zeitgeist, I same with Julie, people really love the refill. I've managed to get away with hide because we've got my dungeon downstairs. I can manage to hide all the refilling containers down. 2 seconds to run down and fill it up and run back up. So it's not too bad. We've got it to a fine art. And it means that we don't have a pile of like washing up liquid all over the floor, because that was kind of one of my worst nightmares. Customers, when they let anywhere near it, is kind of disaster zone, you know. It's interesting, COVID, these electrified machines for Tesco's and whatever. It would have been nice if we had a bit more opportunity, easier ways of doing these bloody refills, but there we go. We sell loads of them.
I've got a great new products company refill with automated systems coming in April, so they've got the solutions for you. We just need all to get back together again, don't we? We've got it for you. Jo, what's your take on you going forward and, you know, your profit, revenue?
So similar, Cheshire store, similar to Julie, that's not, the sales there have not recovered to where they were pre-pandemic. But we are starting to see people coming back that we haven't seen for quite a long time. So yeah, fairly optimistic. But I think for me, the sort of exciting things, I'm not entirely sure. Some days I'm incredibly optimistic. Some days I think, what on earth am I doing? However, I think I'm still really, really excited by it. I think there's still so many opportunities for lots and lots of different things. And just branching out to the fact that, yes, we are 2 physical stores, but actually what are we all about? We're about health, wellness, we're about advice. And there's so many different ways that we can take that to people. But we've kind of got a brand with the store. So I'm never short of ideas and scribbles and lots of excitement. The sort of problem tends to be the execution, because I've run out of time all the time.
Jo, they need you more than ever. All of our health stores are supporting. I keep saying it, I know, and I sound like I'm repeating myself, but you know, people are realizing now, like, you know, we've got the National Association, you know, the NHS, and that's fine, but you can't get to them. So where do they go? They go to us, you know, custodians of their health and personal well-being. So I'm going to fly through some questions. So quickly, is CBD still popular?
Massively, I still do. But what I've kind of toned it down to, I've got 2 ranges that I rely on, a mainstream brand, and I think good quality, the best that you can sell, and that's what's going on. What's really interesting is people are coming to us for the higher dosages as well. So yeah.
Right. Okay, Julie, no to you, Jo, and Julie, you seeing anything?
Sorry, CBD was it? I didn't quite catch the question.
CBD.
Yeah, I mean, we only deal with one supplier that we know works really well. It's basically, it's not the be all and end all, I don't think. But certainly some people get a lot of benefit. We're selling loads of patches. People, you know, the stick on patches, which work really, really well. But I try to show people we've got other things besides CBD. It's not the be all and end all as well. Yeah, so
I hear you. All right, Jo, a question for you from John Fulcher. Does your EPOS system automatically update your web stock? So maybe John's needing some help with his stock uploads.
Not yet, however, coming soon. So I looked at this initially way back, whether it was last summer now, and we've got in-store EPOS system, and then I set up the website on Shopify. And one of the challenges was always going to be that the 2 things didn't talk to each other. It's not as bad as it sounds, because we make sure that the products that I've got a manual feed that I do this all download and do a little geeky upload again as well. There are some products that we know we have to manage the stock levels, and I do it that way. There's others that we know that we can get within a couple of days. So if it did happen to be out of stock, we can still get it. However, I'm just hoping to switch over to Shopify POS system as well in the next couple of months. But that's quite a big data migration.
Right.
So it's on its way separately.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, Jo. Honestly, it's amazing. There's to that, but I've got a few questions which I'm going to kind of summarize, if I may, because it's all the similar things, and it's basically about you know, it's all about new products now. They're asking about you know, going forward, how are you going to source new, you know, what products do you think in the shelves are going to be there? Have you got room for new products, and if so, you know, it says, what is your strategy this year for our lifted experience freedom at last for new products, and what gets your attention about considering a new brand? So why would you stock a new brand, it's saying? What would grab your attention about considering a new brand?
So,
it's a broad question, I know, but there's few of them, so I have to ask.
For me, the honest answer is it usually is driven by the show, if I'm going to be honest. Because I just
set you up to that, did I, Jo?
No.
I didn't want to say that, did I?
Yes. To be honest, I mean, we do get contacted about new products a lot, and the problem is, with as much as I'm sure all these products are brilliant, it's hard to see when you're in the shop. You've got what you're selling, you're doing your day job, you're trying to do this, and this, and you don't quite have the scope to look into things as much as you want to, and that must be incredibly frustrating for a supplier, because it must be really hard to go, right, how do I get this in front of somebody? But for me, that's where the show is the biggest opportunity. There's 2 days there where that is what I'm there for. Now, obviously, we're getting a pattern of trends. We know what people are asking for, so we will be asked for certain brands, and if we hear about them more, or we're learning about them, seeing about them in different places, then of course we'll look into them. But in terms of something that's brand new, perhaps we've never heard about, it's not been put in front of us, the best way is at the show, really.
Okay, all right, thank you. I promise I didn't set you up on that one. Julie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, basically the show is probably the best way of us to find new products. We do get sent a lot of samples. We're getting so many phone calls, people trying to sell us this, that and the other, but it's so hard when we're short staffed to listen to everybody's new product. I think the worst thing is when you speak to somebody and they say, oh yeah, we're doing really well, we're selling on Ocado or in Sainsbury's, and you think, well, there's no point in us doing it, you know. I went round Sainsbury's, I think, the other day, and I was actually, for the first time, I actually realised how much the products I sell in store are actually in Sainsbury's, and also quite a lot cheaper as well. So we are always looking for new products, and I know there's only a certain time, like that little window when a really good product's launched until it goes mainstream, and perhaps that's when we should get it in there. A lot of people are interested in vegan food, organic food. But when you look at the ingredients, having the time to look at the ingredients, I don't know, on all these different bars and things, sometimes they've got so many additives, or low carb, but it's so high in other things as well. So it's it's having time to actually suss out, and yeah, it's great to have exciting new products. And I think now that we can start doing tastings, we're getting more training. It's good to, you know, people to come in and perhaps try things with us first as well.
Yeah,
so
you're an open door to that then. Vicky?
Yeah.
What about you?
Health store shows are brilliant because you've got an idea when you go forward. I always go with what I'm looking for. And you get to see a whole host of it and each way around the trade show. Also, on a day-to-day basis, you've got to look at your shelves. What space have I got? What is the area that's getting a bit stale? what's the area that needs a bit of excitement. With nutrition, like I said, VMS side, I've got to put things through a ringer. Is it better than a product I've already got? Is it something I like the science of it? Is it something that I think has legs? And I'm quite, you know, at the end of the day, everything that's on our shelves has to earn its place. There is no good if it's going to sit there and you sell 1 or 2 a month. No good. So it's kind of, do I like the packaging? Does it taste good? Is it got good ingredients in it? Because if it doesn't meet any of those criteria, it doesn't get bought. You know, Dad always told me this. I think most of your turnover comes from about 15 to 20% of your actual stock. So it's always good to kind of be aware of what are your top selling lines, what are people asking for, what are your gaps, what are you wanting to kind of like fill in the gaps and kind of feel that you're missing something. And that's how I always is make a choice, really.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you all.
Experience. Oh, your customers.
Yeah, customers, right. Listen, they've got the answers, haven't they? They're going to tell you. But thank you all. I mean, look, we're hosting this, you know, to support the National Association of Health Stores. And Joe, you know, they've, like you said earlier, they've done an amazing job, and Avril there and the team keeping everybody updated on the regulations and changes of things within the country. So hats off to them supporting this industry for 90 years. What would you say, being a member, is the benefits, Joe?
Yeah, and I guess it's something I probably should have mentioned before, but I think one of the absolute keys to me to getting through the pandemic and the, you know, the difficult long days we all had, absolutely was the NAHS. We had little group meetings on a Monday night, which, you know, all the members were invited to, and it was just a way of literally going, you know what, I feel really rubbish about this, and then somebody else would go, no, actually we've had a good day and I've done this and I've done this, and actually it kind of just made you remember why you were doing this. From a practical side, the NHS is always looking at connections with different things, so whether that's new ideas, software, card processing and things like that, there's kind of support from that. But again, that kind of bouncing off other people, so who do you pay for who do you get from your insurance, and what was your experience when you went here, so you can kind of share that journey. And then also campaigning. I mean, we can't forget that right at the beginning of the pandemic, it was the NAHS that kind of said, no, health stores are health food stores. We need to be able to stay open. And they are looking, I mean, Avril's doing an incredible job at always looking at what are those things that we need to be involved in, what is going to make things better for our collective members. And you know, Len and Mel as well, they do some really amazing work on just putting looking at those connections. So it, you know, it is such a good thing to be part of. Just to plug it a little bit, on this of Feb, I will be doing a kind of store tour. We do a little almost kind of like an open to show different stores, showcase different stores. So I'll be taking you around the Manchester store, the Bramhall store, and opening for questions, really, just to...
Everybody must have been there. Fabulous. The first one you've done, and I was a member of that, I joined in that, and it's great seeing the stores and seeing how you're stocking the shelves and what your store's like. It's great. You join them. What was that, the 7th of February?
Yeah.
So what we all, and look, I'm going to announce this now, but I have got extra questions if you all want to stay with me for 5 or 10 minutes more than anybody else, but I'll just get the sort of this stuff out. First of all, that Natural Products have decided to invest £90 for the first 10 new customers, retailers who want to join the National Association of Health Stores. So if you want to join and be part of a voice for this industry, that they're doing so much amazing work to support, then we'll pay the first £90 of the fee for the first 10. So we're going to put the link up in a moment, and there's a promo code as well. So please join your association. They really need you as a voice. And we, you know, together as an industry, when we're lobbying, it's really important that you're recognised as, you know, the nation's health givers and carers. So, girls, if you don't mind, give me 5 or 10 minutes more. I've got questions coming in, and then I will wrap it up for you because you've got stores to run, right? So, so I'm keeping you away from it. And somebody's saying about what are your staffing numbers like across your stores? That's from Timothy Scarf.
Yeah, mine is. Yeah.
Go on, Vicky.
Sorry, Vicky.
We've been really lucky throughout the pandemic. We've had a few COVID offs, but we've managed to keep it okay. We've kind of changed the idea of the size of the store that we have, which is great. Like I said, my little Cardiff Central store, I'm running on 2 people in there most days, and until things get busier, I can kind of build the staffing as we need it. Our other 2 stores are fully, we normally work at around about 4 to 5 members of staff. Ideally 2 full-timers, a couple of part-timers and a Saturday staff, so that you've got the most flexibility that you can have. We've had quite a few maternities during the pandemic, which I'm sure quite a lot of you had. Babies seem to be sprouting up everywhere. You know, but it's lovely. It's been really great. Every time we've advertised, even through the pandemic, we've got queues of people that want to come and work in health stores now, and the right kind of people. And I, again, really conscious of, if I don't feel at the interview, I am not going with someone just because that's the convenient move for me. And I think holding out for having the right person in the position is really important. And training. We've said this a few times again, training. And hopefully I'm going to be working quite closely with Avril and the NAHS team to look at the training course. It's a great course. And again, we need that whole NAHS to kind of build that kind of solidarity, really, of health food stores. That's what we're really looking for. We're a very small industry, but together we've got a bit more punch.
Yeah, wonderful. Julie, how many people have you got?
At the moment, I've got about 8 people. We're currently interviewing. Got a new lady started. Actually, two people starting on Monday. And then possibly another person starting the following week, and then we'd be back to being fully staffed. I've got somebody off on maternity leave as of Saturday as well. But I mean, basically, what the main thing for us is we need more training with new staff, and of course we've had a lot of COVID-related issues, so staff absences, people. Yeah. Who've had COVID, or they're isolating because they've been in contact with them, and it's been an absolute nightmare. It's just so hard to run a shop when you just don't know who's going to be pinged next, you know, not being able to come in.
That's all heading up. We're pushing out of that, you know, aren't we? Well,
yeah. But I feel, you know, like we're back to full staffing probably within the next couple of weeks, so which is good.
Well done, Jo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically exactly the same answer to Julie, I think. So we're sort of between about 8 and 10 staff, a couple of those being Saturday teams. Most of mine actually part-time, so kind of covering different days between us. Ideally, we have 2 or 3 in the store, but we, I guess like everybody, was massively hit by absence with COVID. Many days where there's just been me in either of the stores, and then that's allowed 2 in one of the others. But our problem's been childcare, really. So a lot of our team have got children, so as soon as they're off with COVID, then they can't childcare arrangements, grandparents or whatever, so they've had to take the time off. I've got somebody off at the moment who literally, their daughter had COVID in November and has got it again now. Literally since October, I had a great time in December. Was probably one of the lowest points in Manchester. It had just started to get a lot busier. It was doing really well, and then both my manager and my other main team member both got COVID, so that was anyway.
Well, thank you all for taking part. It looks like our lovely Irish retailer, Sandra Green, we're going to take you up on this. She said it'd be great for the Irish retailers and UK retailers to meet up at NOPI and swap some ideas. I think you're asking for a bit of a crack and a bit of the party there, Sandra. So you couldn't pick a better girl for organising that. You're on. Thank you, everybody, to Joanne, to Julie and Vicky for your time today. And I'm sorry I've let you run over and gone a bit more than I promised you would. But it's so invaluable, right, to share what retailers are going through. And I'm sure a lot of the retailers out there will be just glad to have connected and hearing the same things they're going through and giving some great advice today. Don't forget, £90 the first 10 new retailers to join the National Association of Health Stores. We'll be paying that for you. So please join a great organisation and a great industry. Let's be in it together. Anyway, take care, everybody. We'll see you at the next webinar. Bye, everybody.
Bye.